Hey guys, how's it going? I am Danconia and welcome back to the Overwatch League Roundup. So here we are. The league's over. Competitively anyway. London Spitfire are your champions. New York Excelsior were your number 1 seed during the 4 stages. Fusion are your runners-up. Valiant were your number 2 during the stages. Now, let's have a look at it, shall we? Let's do a bit of a review here. First of all, I'm going to start off with earnings. Now, I'm going to tell you the approximate earnings of all the teams. This is a calculation of their stage, their league finishing seed, and the prize money they get for that. Any prize money they have got from stage playoffs, and any prize money that they might have got from season playoffs. So this is all of their prize winnings. This doesn't include like sales of merchandise and stuff like that, because I'm not privy to that data or anything. So they're also going to make a lot more money than actually is said here. I'm going to do this in order of their seeding. So we start off with New York Excelsior. They will win $650,000. Los Angeles Valiant will win $400,000. The Boston Uprising will win $225,000. Los Angeles Gladiators will earn $200,000. The London Spitfire, your winners, will earn $1,200,000 because they won a stage playoff as well. Philadelphia Fusion, or runners-up, will win $525,000. It's $400,000 for being runner-up in those grand finals. Now we get to the people who didn't make the playoffs. Houston Outlaws, $75,000. Seoul Dynasty, $75,000. San Francisco Shock, $50,000. Dallas Fuel will also get $50,000. Florida Mayhem will get $25,000. And Shanghai Dragons will get $25,000. So everyone gets a bit of money. Spitfire are your highest earners because of that win in the grand finals. New York Excelsior are your second highest earners because of their stage playoff wins. The first seed guaranteed them... What did it guarantee them for? If you win first seed, you get $300,000 as in prize money. And then obviously they got to the second stage of the playoffs, which earned them already $50,000-ish. So New York Excelsior, your second highest earners. Then it's the Philadelphia Fusion because they were runners-up in the grand finals. And then it is the Valiant as the third highest earners. Obviously your lowest are Florida and Shanghai, who didn't compete in a stage playoff. They didn't compete in the grand finals, and they were 11th and 12th seed. So a poor season for them. But that's the earnings for the teams. Now, who has been good? Who has been bad? Now, I did a roundup a few weeks back during the off few weeks between the end of the league and then the beginning of the playoffs, where we went over the teams that didn't qualify for the playoffs. So Houston, Seoul, San Francisco, Dallas, Florida, and Shanghai. They've all been covered. I will cover them very briefly again. Shanghai, I think, just need a massive rejig, a massive rework. Same with Florida. Dallas are making improvements, but they need to improve their dive. If they can get their dive meta at least good, doesn't have to be fantastic, but good, then they can be a playoff contender. San Francisco Shock were improving already with their new coach, the introduction of Sinatra and Super. So San Francisco Shock look like a really, really promising team for Season 2. Seoul Dynasty need to improve their tank play. They have a fantastic DPS player in Fleta. So if they can sort that out, they can work out where they want to play Rouge Hong and get a few additions in the tank line and perhaps another support and another DPS, then Seoul are looking good. Houston, they missed out ever so slightly. With a tiny bit of adjustments, perhaps a good tracer player, Houston could well have been up there. So that's the first 6 teams. The other 6 teams I haven't done a conclusion on yet because they are in the playoffs. Now, Philadelphia Fusion, should we start off with them? No, I don't think we will. I think we'll do it in order of playoffs. So Boston Uprising. Boston Uprising it's a difficult one for Boston because they fell upon hard times in the meta. I think if Striker could have been kept on the Tracer more, like he was in Stage 3, then Boston would have been a bit more... been able to compete a bit more with Fusion when they played them, but Boston, they have to be happy with their season. We were coming into this season and we did our power rankings. We thought Seoul would be top of the league. That's not happened. We thought Boston would be bottom, below Shanghai. We didn't think Shanghai were that good, but we thought Boston were worse. And Boston have turned up something completely different. I even believe Note has qualified for his World Cup squad. So I think it's been a fantastic season for Boston. If you had said to Boston, hey, you're going to be in the playoffs, you're going to play in the quarterfinals, I think they would have taken it at the start of the season. Yes, they would have liked to have done better in the playoffs, but you know, when it comes to knockout competitions like that, it's very often had a performance on the day, and Fusion were just better. I'm sorry about that, Boston, but you know, with a few minor tweaks, Boston could be a big team, and coming off the Dreamcasper problems, and then having a Stage 3 like they did, phenomenal. So hats off to the Boston Uprising. It's been a fantastic season for them, and I think it's promising in Season 2. If they can keep their roster together and maybe make a few slight additions, Boston look like a good team for Season 2. Los Angeles Gladiators. Los Angeles Gladiators, it was a season of half and half, right? Gladiators exponentially better with Fisher. Now, would Gladiators have been in the playoffs if Fisher hadn't have been there? Honestly, I don't think so. I'm sorry to iRemix, but I don't think he was quite good enough to get him to those playoffs. Fisher added another level to the Gladiators. No wonder Spitfire couldn't keep hold of him, because he's a player that deserves to play, let's be honest. I think Houston would have taken that 6th spot, and Spitfire would have finished 4th seed, and Fusion would have finished 5th seed if Gladiators hadn't had Fisher. But let's turn that coin, flip that coin, because in Stage 4, Gladiators won Stage 4. They were top seed, but they didn't win it all because Valiant did. But if Gladiators had had Fisher all season, would it have been different? Possibly. Possibly. Gladiators would have settled down quicker. They would have been able to work Fisher into their team better, quicker, and I think Gladiators would have been more established going into the playoffs and perhaps a better chance. But to be quite honest, it's been a great season for the Gladiators. They fell at the last hurdle to a very, very good London Spitfire. Let's not take anything away from Gladiators here. Spitfire were good. Gladiators weren't bad. But then you've got to say, leaving Fisher out in the playoffs is controversial, and it's still getting a bit of backlash to Fisher and the Gladiators now. And considering the Gladiators had never lost to Spitfire up until that point, look, honest opinion here, if Fisher had been playing for the Gladiators in that playoff quarterfinal, I don't think the result changes. Perhaps it's a bit closer, but I don't think the result changes. Spitfire were just too good. Fisher can match Gesture, and even better Gesture in that role, but I don't think the Gladiators can better Spitfire in every role. I fully believe that. Surefour, he's a fantastic player, but he can blow hot and cold. He can be on and off a lot, and you can't do that. You have to be consistent. Prophet was consistent. Birdring was only not consistent because of an injury in Stage 3. So, Gladiators ultimately, if you're a Gladiators fan, you lost to a better team on the day, and I don't think Fisher would have made a massive amount of difference to that. iRemix did play fairly well. He beat Jester's Reinhardt, because Jester is not that good of a Reinhardt. I remember it on King's Row. But unfortunately, London turned on another level in the playoffs. Fusion know this, LA Valiant know this, and the Gladiators need to know this. And it's honestly no shame to losing in those quarterfinals. But to be honest, going into Season 2, depends what roster changes Gladiators might make. There are some rumours around Fisher. But if they can keep hold of Fisher and then make a few additions, Bishu is fine. But make a few additions around him, perhaps another more consistent DPS perhaps, then I think Gladiators are a team to watch out for. Big time. I think they could be the surprise package of Season 2. So let's move on to the semi-finalists that were knocked out. The number 1 and 2 seeds. Los Angeles Valiant. Los Angeles Valiant are a fantastic team. They have really grown into the league, and in Stage 3 and 4 they really turned it on. They are Stage 4 champions, remember. Valiant, again, came up against an out-of-this-world London Spitfire side. And I would say the same thing to Valiant as I did the Gladiators. There is no shame to losing to that London squad. That London squad were on another level in these playoffs, and I don't think, honestly, anyone would have stopped them. Not even Excelsior. So, it's a hard loss to take, but don't be down by it. Custer was a fantastic signing mid-season from Dallas. He has added the shot calling, he's added some fantastic leadership to the team. I do think they need to replace Agilities. Agilities is a good player, but he's not consistent. Soon, however, is more consistent. Soon will pop off from time to time, but he is always getting picks. Agilities can have a good game, then have an atrocious game. So I think Valiant need to add a DPS. Remember, they've still got Bunny as well. Don't forget that. I think, honestly, their support line doesn't really need changing. Custer's fantastic. Kareev is in the South Korean World Cup squad, so that's all you need to know about that to say that Kareev is a good player and really doesn't need to be replaced. I think Valiant have pretty much everything they need to be a top side. Apart from an extra DPS. Fate is a fantastic main tank. Space with the off tank is fantastic as well. So I really think Valiant are not far away from being where they need to be. I just think they need to add a bit in that DPS role. So yeah, I think that's just... And I think also what would also benefit Valiant is perhaps cut down the roster. Because did we see Finzi? Did we see KSF that much? Did we see Numlocked that much? No. Do you need them on your roster? No. Really you don't. I think it might be a bit of the case of London Spitfire. Cut down the roster, concentrate on a certain 7 or 8 players, and you'll benefit from it. And Spitfire have seen the rewards for that, and I think it's something Valiant need to do. Now we get on to a difficult one. New York Excelsior. New York, number 1 seed, 6 losses all season. That's under half the losses that Valiant had in the 2nd seed. Plus 83 differential. Honestly, throughout all 4 stages, I don't think you can moan about what Excelsior did. Until stage 4, perhaps. Stage 4, Excelsior looked off. They didn't look right. Now, we put this down to the fact that they were keeping stuff back for the playoffs. Didn't work though, did it? They didn't really come up with anything new in the playoffs, and they lost to Fusion. So, and they didn't just lose to Fusion, they kind of in the first match at least, got stomped by Fusion. Excelsior's a real weird one. The team they used to be was always known for choking. And this is what Excelsior were accused of in the Stage 1 finals when they were lost to London. Of choking in those finals because they were number 1 seed then. Did Excelsior choke? Perhaps. Maybe. Maybe they did. Maybe the occasion got to Excelsior. But it wasn't in Brooklyn. It was in LA. It was in the arena. So I don't know. I honestly can't tell you with Excelsior. They can't complain about the season they've had. They have been dominant in those stages. They have been in every single stage playoff. They were in all of the stage finals? All of the stage playoff final? They were in the first one. It was Fusion Excel in the second one. Was it Boston Excel? Yeah, it was Boston Excel, and then it was Valiant Excel. So they've been in every single final for each stage. So that is like fantastic. No other team has done that yet. So New York will always go down historically as the first number 1 seed. And they won the normal league. But when it goes to the grand finals, everything changes. It becomes a knockout competition. And Excelsior, I honestly think they're a team that could have performed better in those finals, in those playoffs. So whether it's down to choking, whether it's down to, I don't know, just on the day Fusion were better. And I really don't think there's much for Excelsior to improve on. To be quite honest with you, I don't think they need any additions. Their DPS line is phenomenal with Libero, Sabiorbi and Pine. Their tank line's fine. Their support line's fine. There's really nothing roster-wise to improve on for the XL. They just need... This is a learning curve for them, these playoffs, I believe, and with experience, I think they will go far. I think we'll see them again in the grand finals next year. I'd be surprised if they crashed out of the grand finals next year. That's all I'm saying, because that would be something. Although we've seen it with Seoul. Seoul were top of the power rankings coming into the season, and they didn't even make it. They were 8th place. So you never know what you're going to see in a new season. But Excelsior, it's still promising. It's still fantastic. You've had a fantastic season, Excel fans. You've been on top of the world for a very long time, and you've just lost it at the last hurdle, unfortunately. And I think your team will learn from it and improve on it. And do remember, as fantastic as the Excelsior front line is, their DPS line is, on XL2, their academy team playing in contenders, there is a certain South Korean player called Flower. Remember him from the South Korea and America match, the South Korea-USA match in the Overwatch World Cup last year. That game on Hanamura, Flower, remember that name. Because boy, he is a fantastic player. He's just not of age to play in the Overwatch League right now. But I'm sure when he comes of age, Excelsior will be keeping a very close eye on him, and if he's popping off, then you might well see him in the Excelsior's top squad. And then you've got 4 DPS to be reckoned with, so... Anyway, I think if Excelsior tried to keep Flower in XL2 anyway, I think they'll lose him to another team in the Overwatch League, because I think Flower has incredible potential to be a massive, massive DPS player in the Overwatch League. So Excelsior, you're good, and you're going to be better. You're going to be better, that's for sure. But you're going to come up against better opponents next season. That's something to be aware of, though. So that leaves us with 2 teams, our 2 finalists, our Fusion. Should we start off with, because they are your runners-up this season. Fusion, it was a tough start. Fusion had a problem with losing maps. Now, a little stat about Fusion. Fusion lost 80 maps in the regular season. That's more than the 5 teams above them, quite a lot more. That's more than Houston, that's more than Seoul. That's only 4 less than San Francisco. They also won less maps than Houston. So I think Fusion need to improve on their defense of maps. Their attack is fantastic, and This is something that was iterated in the grand finals about the two best attacking teams in the league. Yes, I think we are seeing that London and Philadelphia are probably the best attacking teams in the league, but when it comes to the overall, like the defense part of the game, I don't think Fusion are that good. And I think it made them suffer. That's why they went to so many 3-2s in the regular season. So, if Fusion can improve their defensive capabilities on maps, then they will go incredibly far next season. They will be right up there with the best in the league. If they don't, then I worry for Fusion, because they snuck into those playoffs as it is. And if Seoul, San Francisco and Houston, if they all improve, I would worry for Philadelphia if they don't improve themselves. And remember, we could see anything. We could see a completely revamped Dallas Fuel side that might go back to the dominance of Envy, but we'll see about that. But Philadelphia need to improve their defensive points, because if they don't, then I would worry for Fusion in the future, because I think the defense and attack of Houston and Seoul and San Francisco will improve in the off season, and I think Fusion could be left behind if they don't improve. But they have made incredible strides throughout these playoffs, and providing that they can tighten up that defense a bit, they will be a team to be reckoned with next season. And then we come to our finalists, London Spitfire. Now, London made their improvements. They toned down the roster. They sorted out... I always had a complaint about London with Hureg, that he wasn't good enough. And he wasn't. So, I think London, they have the team, obviously, because they are the finalists, they are the champions. They have the back room, they have a good mentality in the team. But what needs to happen for London is to improve their consistency in the regular season. They need a decent backup at DPS. Because if Birdwing gets injured like he did this season, then Spitfire will fall off, and they have no replacement DPS right now. So, I think they need a replacement at the DPS role that can work as a backup, that's better than Hureg. And I think they just need to improve consistency. If they improve consistency, then they could be your number 1 seed next season. But they were very good in stage 1 and 2, and then they fell off in stage 3 and 4. Whether you hand that to meta, I don't think you do. You hand it to the fact that Birdwing got injured. And their replacement, Hureg, was not good enough. So, London need to sign a DPS backup that is capable of replacing or doing a decent job in place of either Birdwing or Prophet. Then I think you'll see London be a bit more consistent with their regular league fixtures, and they will be a better team next season. So, that is the end of that. A little bit of information for you. The Atlanta spot for Season 2 of the Overwatch League has been sold. So there is guaranteed one more team in the Overwatch League next season. It will be Atlanta. There are also organisations finalising negotiations for a Paris slot and a Guangzhou slot in China. So it's going to be another Chinese team. But there is 6 new teams wanted for the new season of the Overwatch League, taking the overall roster to 18. There has also been rumours of a Berlin team, which would take the European roster up to a 3. We are looking at some more money being pumped into it, because the entry fee for the league will be higher this season coming up. We're now also going to get a regular spot on ESPN, on Disney XD. Twitch deal continues. And it's going to be awesome. And there's going to be more additions, I'm sure. We are going to see around 6 new teams, at least 3 I would expect, or 4. It's going to be more competitive next season. And we go back to the start of the season, and we said that the Korean teams were dominant. I don't think we can say that anymore. Yes, a Korean team. Yes, it was London Spitfire, but it was a Korean team that won it. But teams like Gladiators, Boston, Valiant, Fusion, Houston, they've all proved that they can compete at the highest level with those Korean teams. and it means all sorts for the Overwatch World Cup. So, moving on, that is the end of the Overwatch League. The All-Stars weekend will take place on August 25th at 4 PM PDT and Sunday, August 26th at 11 AM PDT. I don't actually know what that is in GMT, but the times are in PDT, you can convert them from there, they're on the screen now. The All-Star weekend will contain the All-Star game, the rosters of which are comprised of the best players from each division, the Atlantic and the Pacific division. So, the starting lineups will be on the Pacific division: Fisher, Custer, Geguri, Fletter, Rouge Hong and Seagull, as voted for by the people who watch. The Atlantic division, the starting lineup will be Jonak, Sabiorbi, Pine, Arc, Carpe and Gesture. Don't know who's going to play off tank. You might see some Pine Zarya, so look out for that one. There are also backups on the Atlantic division of Bedosin, Birdring, Fury, Gamsu, Libero, Mano, Meko, Muma, Neko, Poco, Saya Player and Striker. And the Pacific division's reserves are Architect, OGE, Agilities, Sleepy, Big Goose, Soon, Fate, Space, Kariv, Shawfor, Mickey and Zumba. This will be played on the Sunday. There's also some skill-based games on the Saturday. I'd like to see a competitive deathmatch game between our best DPS in the league. That would be awesome. Put Birdring, Prophet, Carpe, Sabiorbi, Pine, Libero, put them all in there. Seagull, all of them. I'd love to see that. That would be awesome. Put Sad Play in there as well. So that will come up then. Then obviously during that and after that, it's the Overwatch World Cup. The Overwatch World Cup qualifying begins on the 16th of August with the South Korean qualifying. That'll be Russia, Finland, Chinese Taipei, Japan, South Korea and Hong Kong. That is all I'm going to give you for now. There will be an Overwatch World Cup Roundup, which will cover these qualifying stages. So the South Korean qualifying, the United States qualifying, the Thailand qualifying and the France qualifying. France qualifying takes place on the 21st of September, or starts on the 21st of September. And then we move on to BlizzCon, where we will have the Overwatch World Cup Finals. And by then, that will be early November, and we will be looking at Season 2 of the Overwatch League. With new teams, probably new players, and a whole new aspect on the league. That is going to be it for this year's Overwatch League Roundup. It has been fantastic. I have enjoyed every moment of making these videos. I have enjoyed every single moment of the Overwatch League. The highs and the lows have been fantastic. The production has been fantastic. Yes, there's been teething problems, but you've got to expect that with the first year of an esport. Congratulations to the London Spitfire, your champions. Congratulations to the New York Excel for securing the number 1 seed. Congratulations for all the teams for doing so well. I hope some of the teams can improve next season. Congratulations to your MVPs. Your season MVP was Jonak. Your playoff MVP was Prophet. I've got to give an MVP award to a certain casting duo. Yes, that's Uber X, by the way. Uber and Mr. X have been fantastic all season. They've probably been the best casters there. I wonder whether we might see some more casters next season because of new teams. Maybe. Just maybe. But I'm going to see you next season. It's been a pleasure doing this. Overwatch League has been fantastic. I can't wait until Season 2. I can't wait until the Overwatch World Cup. But until that Overwatch World Cup, I'll see you then. Bye bye.